Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Denis. I'm a real estate broker here in Miami, and today we will do interview with Anthony. We located at Brickell, and it's a newest projects here in this area called Residences at 1428 Brickell Avenue.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Residences at 1428 Brickell.
Anthony. Hello.
Morning. How are you, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. It's always good to have you.
Yep, good to see you. Good to make more deals with you.
Absolutely.
Look, I really want you to tell us everything about this project because, in my humble opinion, this is top project in the Brickell area. And I think whole Miami is just some people who wants to be on the beach, they're not gonna come here, right? So this part of Miami, this project, I think it's one of the best. And I'd like you to tell me everything that you know about it and what stands out from other projects in this area.
So I can tell you, I've been in the business for about 17 years. I'm a native. I was talking to someone the other day. I remember walking to Brickell and I was like just banking and people would leave after 2 or 3. And the last 2 decades, we've really have built the city. And what's happened is that our biggest identity was always the beach. So people think of Miami, they think that we all jog at 5 a.m. We look like you, that you wear, you're in sneakers. But there's actually a big culture for business. And primarily after COVID, we've seen a lot of the intellectual capital come to the Brickell area. Every project that we've done has slowly brought us to a different level. When I first started working in real estate, it was more of a seasonal buyer. They came to Miami in the winter and they left in the summer. But slowly we've had more people live here. Primarily our last project was the Aston Martin, which great help such as brokers such as yourself. We started, and I remember when we started, I said, who are we gonna sell these buildings to? And we did phenomenally well. We did better than we could have dreamed. But now every step takes us to another level. And when you look at Miami as a city, Brickell's probably the most important avenue because that's where the business is from. Any major city, New York, Paris, they have a main boulevard that defines their city. And that defines a great building because of their location. So we chose Brickell Avenue. And then our developer and their amazing team really thought hard of how to build something different. And I think that when you look to just different industries, you look at people like Steve Jobs, you look at Elon Musk, which might be a little bit extreme, these guys think differently. So our developer said, you know what, let's stop building things with brands. Let's build something that's more buyer-centric. A buyer that's gonna live in our building, that's gonna be there 24/7. We wanna make it ultra luxury and most importantly, ultra livable. He hired an amazing team of collaborators led by Antonio Chiterio and Patricia Veal. For those of you that don't know, there's an amazing building called Arte in Surfside. To me, it's a very important building because it was the first residential tower. It was small, only 100 residences, but it sold for over $4,300 a square foot, which is a huge feat compared to anything that we've sold. It's mainly more of a New York type of number. So their philosophy is very different because they're more of a holistic approach. They think about how you feel, how you interact, and his team created the other collaborators. You have Arclinia, amazing company that's been in the business for 90 years. You have Remediación Doors.
Arclinia, can you just give us more details?
So Arclinia, in addition to that, when we signed on, it was a very secretive project to the point that people thought I was avoiding them. Our amazing developer, White Tech, gave us an amazing trip to Italy. We were there for 7 days and we met all these amazing people. Arclinia has been in the business for about 90 years. A lot of their design is led by, of course, the legendary, and remember this name, remember who Antonio Chiterio and Patricia Veal are. And they basically design these kitchens based on inputs from chef. And these are people that are in there day in and day out. They talk about the flow and how it should feel and how do you go to the refrigerator first, do you go to the kitchens? I gotta tell you, regardless if I was in this building or not, the craftsmanship that I saw in their main store and the factory where they're built, which we were toured, I gotta tell you, it's gonna put everybody on notice. And if you want something exquisitely built with attention to detail, this is the kitchen you want. They have chose this building to be their crown jewel of developments. So we feel very privileged that not only did they choose our building, and of course they chose our location, Brickell, versus going on the beach. We also met a gentleman named Danilo from Vaselli, which to me was very profound in the way he spoke about his business. It's built on 4 generations. he mentioned to me how his grandfather taught his father, which taught him that this was a gift from the earth, that this is something that you respect and that every piece is unique.
Stone,
But the stone, they do amazing kitchens from unique pieces of stone. To me, it almost felt like looking at, the Mona Lisa, like a piece of art, because every piece is custom. And just to give you an idea of how many kitchens they do, they only do 12 kitchens a year. So the thinking is very different. On a lot of the projects that I've also done, it was...
And those, sorry for the interruption, to make sure that it adds up. And those you guys gonna use for penthouses?
So we're gonna do the penthouse levels, and we chose the amenity deck. We have this spectacular private kitchen done by Vasselli. And I'll give you, to put it into context, it's a 70-story building. Typically, when you have a building of this size, you would want to do about 400 to 500 residences, just because it makes sense in the numbers. Here, we purposely kept it low. We only have 189. And in an effort to have everyone enjoy the amenities, we sacrificed the top 4 floors to give you a whopping 80,000 square feet, which if you think about it, you divide it per door, is almost 436 square feet per door that you have of amenities. We're gonna have a private kitchen by Vasselli with the most magnificent views in the entire city. You're gonna have a wine sommelier. You're gonna have a special area with wine coolers that each resident will have their own private space with a certain amount of wine for them.
Our lounge, like that. But what floor is it? 78?
So I know you're a fan of the views. So we took 69 and 70, which are the top part of our buildings, and we did an amazing observatory deck. For those of us that are familiar with Miami, imagine Sugar on a much more intimate and private experience, and we made that just for our residents.
And then how high is the ceiling on those floors?
So ceilings on those floors are going to be 30 feet. You clear
30 feet.
you clear everything. So I make the bad joke, which at this point sounds a little bit old, but you might be able to see Havana, Cuba from the pool deck of what amazing views you have. Also, another thing that we did is that everything was designed for not only the well-being of our local resident, we also wanted to take care of the ecosystem around us, which was Brickell. So we thought on the back part of the building was designed by Antonio and Patricia, that all the bearing would be almost like a spinal cord. So open floor plan, a lot of open windows. We did concrete walls between each residence, not only for privacy, just really good construction. So what we did is that we lined that entire back. It's going to be one of the first residential towers to be powered by the sun, which I think it's great because we're not only thinking about our resident, we're thinking about the ecosystem. So we have about 500 photovoltaic panels, or 20,000 square feet of solar panels that'll generate. It's about 170 megawatts of electricity, which not only is going to help.
But I'm not.
Again, for us in Miami, since we're flat, it's not a big deal, but the whole world's being a lot more cautious on sustainability.
We're better than nothing, when you add something.
Correct. We're eliminating 4,700 tons of CO2. And I think that once you see it here, you're going to think in a couple years, say 1428 was the first building to do that.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. I love the project, guys. I can tell you, I've sold some units already, and I really love that project. I can tell you also feedback from my team when you guys start sales and I share information with my team, and they like, hey Denis, there is no name on the project. Like, are you sure it's a good one? I was like, guys, don't worry about the name, because recently there is every project like St. Regis, Cipriani, Waldorf, Bentley, and a lot of different also good projects. But sometimes there is no need for name. It's all about the quality of the developer finishes, and once you see everything by yourself, especially when you have experience with the new developments. You have a lot of experience. I do have about 10 years of experience with the different guys as well.
Correct.
And you can see that the quality is good and there is no need for name.
I would add, I also think that it's a different city. You even go to the restaurants, you go to the shops, you don't see your typical ex-Miami buyer, which was they came in for this winter. Now these people live here. The intellectual capital that we have in the city is phenomenal. And I think my very brilliant broker, which is amazing at giving presentations, says it. Not only do they bring their intelligence, but they bring different ideas. For a long time, we needed a brand. We needed to say that we're this brand, we're that brand. But at some point, our city is enough that we don't need a brand. And when you look at this project, at least to me, I go big on intuition. And you may forget the details and the names, but you don't forget how you feel. And from the moment I met all these amazing people and I saw the connection between, for God's sakes, Techno Gym, which is doing our entire gym floor that loves Antonio Citerio. When we met with Arglinia, where we met with we went to the mountain where they cultivate the marble. And all these guys work in conjunction with Antonio. I really do think that this building, the issue here is going to be a lot of people are going to feel that they were left out. There's so much thought into it. There's so much love put into this building. And I can assure you that once this amazing agent, which is my friend Denis, gives you a good presentation on the building, I'm sure you're going to feel the difference and you're going to want to not only buy, you're going to want to live in this building.
Oh, yeah. And it's a really good project to live, as you said, right? Not just investment purposes, but since you have only 189 residences, all of them great sizes. One more thing you mentioned, you have the walls between every unit. You have not just what do you call it?
Drywall?
Yeah, drywall. I forgot. Not just a drywall.
You won't hear your neighbors.
Yeah, this is a really important part because a lot of projects, not to mention names, they don't really say that. They don't care about it. But once your project is finished, then you can see, and you in your mind, okay, now I know.
The biggest difference for me has been that the developer, I think, has been very. I would tell you, listen, I think that White Tech is a great company, but one of his mega superpowers is creating an amazing team. And those of us that run a big business know that if it's not you, it's the entire team's effort. But I will tell you, the fact that he allowed me to talk to all these people, there's so much more substance behind just the presentation. And again, not to criticize what was done before, but everything we've done has been like the stairs. We've gotten to the point that the city is ready for something like this. But I can guarantee you, once you look at it, you see the travertine floors with the brass inlay. You look at the walls that are going to be finished. The doors are going to be solid. You have this beautiful glass that's floor to ceiling, high ceilings 11 feet. The kitchens, the balconies are deep. We worked very closely with Artefacto, with Arquitectónica, and we want to balance both spaces. There was all these light studies to position the units in a specific way. You're gonna feel all that. And I can tell you, I think to hit the nail on the head, it's great to have only 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms, 4 to 5 residences per floor. It's a dream come true. I would even tell you, on the investment side, the only other building that would maybe come close to this concept was Santa Maria. And I always remember, I won't say who because I need to protect my source, a very respected person in the industry when that building came out said it reminded them of like back in the days, the women would wear those big dresses. They thought the building aesthetically wasn't pleasing. But to this day, the building that has had one of the best appreciations and the less available inventory has been the Santa Maria. So if you want somewhere to park your money, that it's great, I would say this is a perfect building to do so. Rentals are going to be very little, if any, but I suspect that the appreciation will do very well for the type of building that it is.
I'm like, totally, I just, the thing is, I can tell you every time when I'm here on presentation for my client, I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing my numbers, honestly, for this project, because it's a really great project with the finishes, every finish that you can see in amenities in the buildings, all those details, quality is great. And I also want to tell you one thing, that the developer is confident enough to not to put any big name on the project because he has a quality of the project itself.
And I also will tell you that there are buildings that have been successful without a brand. You have Arte, which has no brand. You have the 1000 Museum, which isn't a brand. At some point, the big developers weren't a brand. I remember when we first started with Related back in 2005, we sold this little building called One Miami. So if you would have seen One Miami to what they're doing now. So I would also say that I would also give Cervera a lot of credit. Our founder's an amazing woman, which is Alicia Senior. She's in her 90s. And we've done it. You know, we've worked with the big names. I won't say names, but anyone that you mention in the city, whether they're a salesperson or they're a contractor, has been through Cervera. So we've vetted them enough that we know. I'll even tell you candidly, when I started the Aston, I was hired and I said, oh my God, I'm gonna sell an Aston Martin building. I walked around the block like 6 times. And a lot of my good friends says, are you sure you want to take such a big endeavor? And fortunately, to this day, the building has done great. So I have no doubt that this will be one of the best buildings in the city. And I would also tell you, a lot of people are going to look at our business model and maybe adopt it and move away from the brands. Because I feel like there's too many of the brands at the moment. We have our own identity.
Yep. And let's go over details. What is the pricing, amenities?
So pricing, we start from 2 bedrooms. We have 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms, 1,800 square feet to about 4,000 for square meters for our friends that are in the meters. You're looking at about 160 meters to about 390. We're starting in the middle twos, about 2.5 to about 7 or 8 million, depending on which residence you prefer. Our maintenance is going to be a little bit over $1.60 a square foot, which again, for this building of these services and magnitude works well. Building-wise, also remember, ACPV not only has done residential, they've also done hotels. They've done about 6 Bulgaria hotels. Not only have they been the lead architect, they have been the lead interior designers. So we're very privileged to have them do both. So when they designed the building, they thought about giving you spaces you could use. We have the 7th floor resort deck, which that I'm calling it more of a balanced space for friends and for families. Whether you're a 3-year-old, whether you're 80 years old, there's an amazing space with a splash pad. There's lush garden that gives you private areas. There's going to be a magnificent bar, which I think is my favorite place in the building. Cinemas. There's a beautiful pool area on the west side, which you'll get plenty of sun. It's double size pool with food fair. There's also going to be food at the lobby area. There was a lot of attention placed on the lobby. And the logic was that the lobby is one of the most important amenities because that sets the tone. And based on how you feel when you walk in, it'll change it. Another thing and it goes back to just practicality. I remember years ago when Steve Jobs showed the iPhone, how he talked about the size was perfect for your hand. Well, here we said, what is the biggest problem you have in a building? If you have children or somebody older, you get to the valet and you're like, you don't know where to park. We've designated a carport on the 2nd level, which is climate controlled, and you can take as long as you need. Whether you're unloading groceries and need help from the bellman, whether you're unloading your elderly parent or sibling or whatever that needs help getting off the car, it's a great space. We put 2 elevators to the back of the building that'll be connected to the back of the house. Uber Eats, anything that's delivery, it's delivered to the back of the house, and one of the building's representative will take to your building. Each resident will have 2 private elevators with their private foyer. Then we have floors 67 through 70. All those floors are going to be dedicated just for amenities. You have 80,000 square feet, which to this day, to me, sounds like a massive amount of space, but it's perfect because each resident will have their own private area. We have 10,000 square feet of gym. As someone that has been going on the whole fitness journey, the biggest problem I see in Miami is that you want to use the hot tub, there's 6 or 7 people. Here, there's plenty of room for you to have. You're going to have a fitness instructor, there's going to be green juice, smoothies. You have Techno Gym, which is one of the best companies in the world. They've been chosen by the Olympics 8 times to be their equipment. Then there's the owner's lounge. There's going to be a wine sommelier. There's going to be a wine, a drink concierge, private areas for event. You have the beautiful, and please insert a video of the rendering, the beautiful Vasali kitchen, which are a dream. Antonio was very hands-on that he wanted the kitchens to disappear. He says, let's say that morning you had a cup of coffee and you forgot to clean it or have your housekeeper. There's these amazing glass doors that slide, trackless, so no worry about children or anybody older, and it'll hide it and give you instant privacy from your kitchen for the different lifestyles. There's also going to be, I think that's going to be the most desirable part. This is where you would probably go later in the afternoon. There's going to be the 2-level observatory. There's talks about with the companies that we work with, the services, to maybe have like craft beer or drinks and have that amazing pool deck on the top of the building. On the 70th floor at about 850 feet up in the air. So you can almost high-five a plane if it goes over you.
I'm going to high-five someone from Aston Martin.
And there you go.
I will wave to Dimitri.
There you go, Dimitri, yeah.
Okay, one more question I'd like to ask before I forget it. Ceiling heights, 11 feet, right? Every residence?
Standard feet are going to be 11. and then you're going to go into 12 feet into the penthouse. The industry average is about 9 feet.
Yeah, it's a good point. I just had a client recently from New York. He was so crazy about beauty, so crazy about 11 feet ceiling high, because he said he has a beautiful house somewhere in New York. His second floor has a high ceiling, but the first one with the 9 feet, and he said he's been there like for 8 years or something, and he wants to retire here in Florida. And he said, look, I have to find something with it.
Well, you've traveled a lot, and we forget that we take the light for granted. Primarily me, that's the first thing I realized when I get here. You see the blue sky, so you want that light. So again, Arquitectonica, Bernard is brilliant. He helped us with that. And another thing I want you to pay close attention to, the bezeling on the sliding doors is very thin. So they showed us about a 90-page summary of all the studies it did for lighting. So everything is curved, and even the front part of the building, it looks like it was shaped by the wind. It's purposely done to get plenty of lighting.
Remember, that's the first thing, I think one of the first things that I asked you about that bezeling. I said, is that going to be same as on a picture? And you confirmed with me, yes, because it is really important part sometimes when you like in some developments, when you buy and you see it's not as you was expected.
Correct.
It's a big deal, but with those as in a picture.
Keep in mind, Whitech has been in the business for about 15 years. Everything they've done, their portfolio is a little bit over 2.5 billion. Everything that has been done has led them to this point. This is the crown jewel of Whitech's portfolio. So, not that they've said it, I have seen it. They have put everything they have to making this the building to be at. And again, it shows. It shows very, very, very easily once you're doing the presentation.
Okay, Anthony, what about the payment structure? Can you give us?
So payment structure, we've come up with a 40% deposit. It's staged between the next year to 3 years. It's something that we can, pretty much speak to the buyer of 10% at contract. Again, that's pretty much the industry standard. We're at contracts, which I think is a very big statement to the community and to the city. We're ready to go. Right now, we're currently sitting at about 22 contracts. For a couple of weeks, I think is phenomenal. Keep in mind, it is a longer sale because it's a more super luxury project. I would tell you, if you have anyone interested, not because you're my friend, but you're a phenomenal agent, extremely professional, reach out to Denis.
Stop, please.
Yeah, I would encourage you to.
Watch today.
I would encourage you to make an appointment to come by. It'll be my pleasure to have you here and present to you my amazing project. And I will tell you, historically, buyers that come in this early always have the best appreciation. Once we open the sales gallery and we start demolishing and people see it go up, obviously there's a difference in price. But I would encourage them to come in. The weather's great. Today's like in the high 50s. So you have nothing to lose and all to gain.
Look, I would love to come here as many times as possible. What I did so far with the 3 sales here on Instagram, I do have a post with 10 different pictures. Every time I do a sale, I put a new picture. So I need to do 7 more.
I think you're going to get there. I think you're going to surprise yourself. You're going to surprise yourself at how good you're going to do here.
But guys, I need someone who's going to buy a penthouse.
We'll get it.
Okay.
I don't know how, but we'll get it. We'll get there. All right?
Thank you, Anthony.
Now listen, a pleasure. Anything you need, we're here to help. All right? Take care, man.
Guys, I hope Anthony answered all questions that we had. If you have anything else left, please reach out to me, Anthony, or you can put your comments, and I'll see you in the next videos or in Miami.